And welcome back. Phil Doran is here, and he is the president of the United Board. Their next monthly meeting will be held July 9th. That is a week from today. Welcome, Phil.
Thank you, Ken.
Nice to see you.
Thank you for inviting me.
And of course, let's talk first a little bit about that July 9th meeting. It's an important meeting, isn't it? Because you have positions on the board to fill.
That's right. I think the theme of the meeting is new faces. There are 5 vacancies on the board, and there's been a tremendous response from applicants seeking those seats. We'll be meeting them, we'll be asking them questions, we'll be finding out where they come from and what they're about, and we'll be selecting board directors from that meeting right then and there.
Okay.
It's going to be like a big game show. Come in and win the prize and take a seat.
All right.
It'll be good.
So that'll be, obviously the agenda has not been made up yet, but will that be at the beginning of the meeting?
Well, probably in new business, I would say. So,
okay.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle.
All right. How many applicants do you know so far?
There's been, I think, 16 applicants.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Just having skimmed over, it's quite an impressive array of people with good backgrounds, interesting, diverse backgrounds. Many applicants are relatively new to the village. You know, been here a year and a half, and I think it speaks well of a civic spirit to come in here. And you know, most of us come here and say, "I'm going to play tennis, I'm going to play golf, I'm gone, don't bother me." But here are people who are really launching into the mechanics of running this this community, and they're to be praised for their civic spirit.
All right, very good. So you obviously get people on the board at the next meeting.
That's right.
With that many applicants there.
Right.
Shortly after the current board, meaning the 6 of you, were seated, and of course you went through the process of picking the directors of there. You were greeted by a surprise, and that is about the budget of or the fact that there increase in assessments potential.
It was a surprise, and it wasn't a good one. Unfortunately, what we're looking at is a rather dramatic increase in our assessments, and there's no way to sugarcoat it. It's real, and it's coming. At this point, those of us in United are looking at a $35.17 per month per manor increase. This has come about through a sort of a strange confluence of events, and chief among it is a natural rise in the increase in costs of things, in wages, in material, etc. That's everywhere. Contributing to that is that there had not been any raises in assessments for the past few years. Previous boards had prided themselves on we are not raising assessments and that. And in hindsight, perhaps there should have been incremental raises, $3, $5, whatever, to stem this rising tide. There is a situation where, in United specifically, the reserve is very low, and traditionally what happens when rises come, sometimes money is drawn out of reserves and used to cover these rises, so it's not automatically passed on as an assessment. Now, our assessments are based basically in 2 parts. Part of that assessment is our assessment to GRF. Theirs rose $17.
Okay.
Okay. Ours rose $18. That makes it $35.
Right.
Okay. So this sort of live grenade was tossed to us as we're not yet warm in our seats, and we immediately launched into what can we do here to remedy the situation to the extent of softening the blow of it. So we immediately called meetings with the landscape and construction and maintenance departments. And see, there's a lot of things in the assessments that we can't control. A lot of stuff has to be relegated by law, regulation, etc. But one of the things we can control are service levels. So we reviewed all service levels that the mutual does. And again, this is a dicey proposition also, because contractually we are bound to the residents to provide them with service levels and not to fall. And we don't want to. We don't want the community not to be well served. So we were able to make some incremental cuts at this point. This is not finalized, but we're deep in negotiation on this. And we've managed at this point to take out about $6, maybe $7 off the assessment. So maybe now the assessment, if it goes down the way it is presently, would be about $28.
Okay.
So again, it's a pretty big assessment either way. But
and you mentioned a very good point here, how it's a sort of a dicey proposition. We've certainly seen in the past here, many, many years ago, where maybe service levels might have been cut in landscaping or maintenance. Maintenance meaning keeping up the painting. And what happens is a few years later, different boards come on and now they have to play catch up.
That's right.
And they have to increase the assessment. So there is that balance. And it's just very much like the folks when years ago they had their own home outside of the village here. And they have their own little maintenance schedule as well, their service level to their own home.
That's right.
And at times you let things go a little bit too long and now you got to replace that big problem rather than putting some money towards it. So there's a very delicate balance here.
That's right. You know, things get shabby real fast.
Yeah.
And this is a constant growing organic community that needs constant maintenance. And the tricky part, I mean, you know, I don't mean to characterize and please don't think I'm making any kind of judgment that there's a right way and a wrong way to have done this, in that every community or every society, there exists a tension between those who want to spend more money and those who don't want the government to spend a dime. This exists everywhere. And both are good arguments, reasonable arguments. What we need to find is that median that allows us to grow, and we have to grow. We have to change things. We have to update things. This is a given. There are certain facilities that we have that are antiquated, and they're not going to draw people to us.
Right.
You know, investments must be made. Infrastructure must be looked at. There must be a sensible, grand plan to prioritize what our needs are. Unfortunately, even after this large bump, we may not be going back to no more raises in assessments. We may continue to raise assessments, albeit a smaller bite year after year, $3, $4 a year, because the mutuals and are cash strapped at this point.
Right. What can the membership do about it? Are there certain things that they could cut back on, or you want to hear what their needs are, obviously, and kind of take from there what maybe the voices are saying, and perhaps the majority of the folks, which way they would like to see. Have you talked to a lot of people? What seems to be the census about this? Or is it just pretty much split?
It's hard to say what the split is. I think that the word is just getting out about this budget crisis, budget jump, and I think it'll be interesting to see how it's interpreted by the membership. No one's going to be happy about paying more money, that's for sure. But I think there are those whose philosophy is, it's about time we spend some money here. It's about time we did some things that need fixing up. And if it costs more money, well, I'm here for a while. I want things to look really nice. And there are those who live on a margin, who live on that margin, who are fixed income, as many of us are fixed income. But a jump in $35 a month is pretty painful to them in terms of just basic living. So our community cuts all the way across the economic spectrum on this issue. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. Everybody has a vested interest in their own survival or their own well-being.
Right.
So,
but as you said, there is that fine balance, and you can't let the community go because this is a living, breathing community, and as it has over the past almost 50 years. You have new people coming in and in and in, and right now, when you look around what else is out there, meaning all of Southern California, even though this is a residential community, their people home, this is where they live, it is a business in the sense that you want to attract people to come here and live. And I think people go around and look at all the different other facilities out there. The biggest attraction here that you hear constantly that is just natural is our weather. You got that great proximity. You're only a few miles up from the beach. You get that cooling effect at night, even some of the hottest weather as we've had. So that's a huge factor here. But then the other one is, of course, the immense amount of facilities, what we have to offer here, a social services department, a bus system, but they all cost money.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
I mean, when you come on the board, and the most educational thing, the most eye-popping moment is when you actually understand the breadth and the depth of this operation. We own 500 vehicles. I mean, that's enough to invade a country with. I mean, these are like, it's a lot of equipment. The manpower that we command and this stuff, it's immense, and the management of it. So I think generally speaking, the community is run very well. I mean, everything could be done better, but the guys out in the field are great. The workmen are great. It's really a question here, if you look upon it, as finding a way that it's a shared sacrifice, that the burden of improving us should be somewhat spread out between the members paying more and management companies perhaps doing more for less or doing less. So this is what we have to find out. And I would say to people the way people can help is to come to meetings, come to budget meetings, speak up, talk up. Let's hear your opinions. Let's hear how you're feeling. We're looking for a pathway here that will satisfy the most people in the most equitable way. So work with us and help us find that.
Right, exactly. And of course, again, you're going to have a lot of people at that July 9th meeting, as far as a lot of applicants.
That's right.
And we should remind people that 3 of those positions are for the remainder of this board year, which of course goes to October, and then 2 of those positions are for really a year and about 3-4 months, so it would be to October 2014. And I would imagine that for a lot of people that wanted to do this, it's a great way to have a short commitment rather than 3 years, get the feel of the board, and then go from there, and it may be something that they would like to re-up for after their time.
That's true. If only marriage worked that way. You know, I'll try it for 3 months. It's not for me. You know, but no, this is a good way to test drive this experience.
It is.
And you know, there's no way of knowing if you're going to like it until you get into it, because it's a lot of work and it's a lot of responsibility, and you need to keep a passion going for it. And what I'm hoping for is a new board will coalesce. And the one thing I'm interested in the applicants, over and above their, you know, background and their experience and everything, is, do you work well with others? You know, can we get along? Can we agree to disagree? I don't always have to be right. I don't always have to win. But I will, if we disagree in policy, I'll argue policy with you all night. But I need to know that you're not going to dig in and to make it into a personal ego matter, and we're going to wind up hating each other. I want to know we can compromise and find ways and you know, move ahead.
Yeah, and it's something we've seen on boards throughout the years, and a lot of times people come in and they may have very different ideas than what the majority of the board has, but then they begin to look at that different idea and they start to think, well, you know what, that might be a way to go or look into that.
That's right.
And it's basically that new blood, for lack of a better term, new way of looking at things, fresh eyes. And although all of you, I believe, are pretty fresh eyes on the board, you've been on 6 October, and there's been a couple who have been there obviously longer. Jack Vassar is a very good example, but overall, it's a time that people can come on and take a look at this board and give it a trial run. And again, that's July 9th, so be prepared that might be a long meeting. I don't know what else is on your agenda. It's not fully made yet. But with that many applicants all speaking, it could take a little bit of time. But I think tune into that. I think it'll be neat to watch, because you're going to get to see all different kinds of people.
It's democracy in action in its purest form.
Yeah. Phil, thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
And again, that United monthly meeting is July 9th. It's at 9:30 in the boardroom. That's a week from today. All right? Folks, we'll be right back.